Now, of course, we're going to turn our attention to the First Division and one of the clubs that are making waves, kind of, with some of the signings they've made in the closed season and really look to be really stepping up a gear, I think, has been Athlone. I'm delighted to say we're joined by their manager, Adrian Carberry. Now, Adrian, you're very welcome to the programme.
Perfect. Thanks, Ian. Great to be here.
It's great to have you on the show. Tell us a bit about, I suppose, the change in Athlone this year. I suppose perennial, over the last few years, they've struggled a little bit. We all know about the Cup semi-final last year and the circumstances around that and how disappointing that might have been. But it seems to be a horse of a different colour this year from Athlone.
Yeah, look, I suppose Athlone over the last number of years have been, as a club, training in Dublin. There wasn't much buy-in to the town from Athlone Town football, from local companies or businesses or the local people, I suppose. So I suppose they got in contact with me initially to, I suppose, bring Athlone back to Athlone as such and get them back training at Athlone, bearing in the fantastic facility they have now down there, and utilising that, and just getting the public to come and see us, So obviously, coronavirus got in the way of that a bit. But yeah, look, we were late coming to the party, I suppose, in terms of signing players at the start of the season, and we just were left with kind of maybe some players that other clubs didn't want or whatever. But I have to say, the guys did fantastic for us at times. We did compete at times, but we were short players. And I suppose that was most notable in the game against we played Dundalk, then the Cup semi-final. Having done so well in the semi-final against Shelbourne, I suppose we come on top. It didn't happen against Dundalk, a truly professional outfit. So we were showing up there. So I suppose the club, the committee, and everyone behind Athlone were anxious to progress it on. That it's gone so well off the field, and now is the right time to a team in place that can push on towards the top of the table. So I suppose with that in mind and the support we've got, that's what we're trying to do, try to sign players that would push us on towards the top half of the table, or the top of the table.
It's a fairly competitive First Division this year. The likes of Cork, Shells all seem to have recruited really well through this winter. I suppose Galway there too. Alan might have some views on Galway's preparations for the year, but what are the expectations for the season?
I think we have to be realistic. I think you're right. We have strengthened very well, but other teams have strengthened too as well. And you see Galway going full time, Shelbourne full time as well. You're looking at Cork down as well, a fantastic club. So it's going to be very hard. And then you have Bray Wanderers, you have UCD, who are always strong. So it's going to be very, very, very tough for us. But I mean, we need to get away from this second from bottom of the table. We need to get away from this. We need to push on. And Athlone is a footballing town, really is, and we need to start, putting that to show on the pitch as well, and making sure that we can fight for. We're looking at a playoff place this year at the very minimum, and that's just setting the goal. We have other goals inside of that as well, and look, we'd love to win the league as well. Look, we won't get too far ahead of ourselves. We will set the goal that we want to be up there come the end of the season, with a chance of to where we all want to be, and that's the top division.
Adrian, a point I picked up on you there is it's great to hear you say that, because every year everyone just writes off Athlone, bottom of the table, and it's I think it's a massive thing that you've got the team training in Athlone, because I think that's a big plus, because you need to buy into the town. But for you saying that your target is the playoff, that definitely rubs off on players, because I think now the players, if they have a manager that can believe, I think that's important. How difficult have you found it in the off season to attract players? Obviously with COVID and all that, is difficult, especially with all the teams you have, like Galway. You have all these teams that people will go to because of their cities and stuff like that. Have you found that difficult?
Yeah, Alan, you're offering players, I suppose, part-time, football, semi-professional football, and your clubs out there, they're offering professional contracts, so it really is, you're fighting, you're on the losing side nearly straight away. But we have guys, experienced players who have, full-time jobs at the moment, and probably wouldn't be realistic for them to go and they're looking at families. They have families now or might be buying a home, so full-time football doesn't really appeal to them at this level. I do feel, Alan, it'll get better. I do think, football in Ireland now is heading in the right direction. We're a long way off. I think it will get there, more professional, more money pumped into it. I think that will come in time. But, so although players do play full-time, I think a lot of them are realistic. The experienced guys we got in terms of to have a job or to have a mortgage. So they're keeping their jobs and they're able to come down with us part-time. Now, it is a big commitment. It is a big commitment, but we're delighted to have them. We spoke to the guys and we talked about the project we're on. We call it a project. We've just introduced a new gym installed down there. Analysis room on in there as well. So we are adding to the facilities there. It's not the finished article by a long shot. But in fairness to the background people there, the committee, John Hayden and Michael O'Connor and the rest of the committee there, they are trying to. They're adamant that what happens on the pitch, won't leave the club in trouble. We have to put a clock to measure, but they're, looking after making sure the facilities are there and everything that the players want is there when they come into us. So that is, we kind of sat down with players and talked to them, and the players assigned bought into that and saw it, that it's an exciting opportunity. And I think, Alan, you can see by the players we've signed, a lot of them are kind of players that might have just went to big clubs and kind of, got lost a small bit maybe, so yeah. This is another chance for them, and they're coming in with chance to get in the first division, play first team football against quality teams and start their careers again, I suppose.
Yeah. How much of a loss, when you talk about the new players that have come in, one or two players have moved on, some probably by the club's choice, one or two others. Tell us about the two, I suppose, cup heroes from last year. Dean George and Ronan Manning have both moved on. Were efforts made to keep them, or is it just one of those things that you can't compete with Galway in a full-time capacity, or why are those two players kind of not with the club this season?
Yeah, well, Ronan, has been a superstar for us this year, been very good. Bearing in mind, guys, he came to us because no other club signed him. Galway didn't really want to know last season, and I was actually told to stay away from the guy. That he had this bad reputation. I sat down with him, I talked to him, and I found out that he's a lovely guy. He just needs to be motivated like everyone else, and he hit the ground running for us. There's a lot of improvements still to make. He's still a young lad. He's 21 now probably, but he was very good for us. He did say it. He wanted his brothers full time in football, and he saw the chance to play full time football with Galway. So it makes it sense for him that he would do that. But he was very good for us, and we had one or two little disagreements, like have every player. So I found him fantastic to work with, and I wish him all the best. He was good for us, and you can't stop a guy that wants to play full-time football when it's there for him. I have no problem with that. Dean, it was a tough one. It came down to borderline decision: will we not? And although he was fantastic in Shelbourne, we just felt that we're looking for something different, maybe in a striker. We need someone that will score goals for us, and that's it. And probably a bit harsh in the end, but we're still not there yet in terms of having huge depth. We can't afford huge depth at the moment, so just one of these things that Dean just missed out. But I'd like to see he's signed for a treaty, which is good for them too as well, and good for him to keep going. Still a young guy as well, but we just felt that with the players we brought in, Dean's, I suppose, his opportunities would be minimal this season. So we just want to as well, make sure that he got a chance to play games as well. So I probably think both of us.
And Adrian, how's pre-season been for you? How has the preparation? I know it's difficult in these times, and I'd say it's very, very strange. But as terms of coming up for the season ahead, how has it been? Like, it's difficult when you can't really, the fixtures and stuff like that, trying to organise friendlies and COVID. I'm sure that's another thorn in your side. Yeah,
everything is way more thought and planning gone into it, Alan, I'd say, and as well as that, you're talking to guys in pre-contract meetings about full use of a gym when you come down as well, and now you can't use that, you know. So, but look, it is what it is. It is hard. There's a lot of your protocols around it, but bearing in mind it is to try and get rid of this virus. So it's important we do play our part. It's important that we do the right things and make sure that you know, we're trying our best. We do make mistakes, but it's important that we learn from them too as well. But the overriding thing, Alan, as a player, you know yourself, for these guys to be back playing and training, it's just, and even for coaches ourselves, it is fantastic. There's nothing beats it. And I missed it. I felt the first lockdown was grand. The weather was good, and we got through it. You know, the second one not too bad. This one has been the longest one for everyone, and we've all felt it a bit. So to get back training is just fantastic. So we really need to mind it, make sure we do everything right, that we can stay open, you know, and we get, please God, for once and for all, get rid of this virus.
Adrian, in terms of the atmosphere on the club, I was at a couple of home games in Athlone last year, and I was there at the very start of the season when you were running kind of well. I think you got 3 wins in the first 3 or 4 games, and there was a really decent crowd there. I was also there post-COVID when you had tickets on general sale because there wasn't enough local support. So it's very much been ups and downs with the club. What's the mood like now? It must be really buzzing with the announcement of some of these players that have come in and the real statement of intent from the club.
And that's it, Breifne. You know, Athlone is a football town. It's a garrison town. It's been known for producing players and football teams over the years. And that has gone missing a while. You know, where I suppose the club, you know, through enough of their own, a few things came to play, came to pass. There's no getting away from it. I think it was a match fixing thing there where people come in from outside. I don't believe anyone at Athlone was involved in that. I think it was a thing that were just unfortunate, where these guys promised to put money into a club that was struggling for money, and it seemed to be that maybe it was for different purposes. You know, I think it's hard to rub off. It's hard to get away from that and move on. But the club have managed to do that, and slowly, surely, you know, they've put things in place off the field that we can survive, and we can keep going. And you know, we're a club that you know are in a good position now, and we have some financial backing going forward, and we just have to be prudent with that and make sure, you know, we don't come too far ahead of ourselves. That we make sure that, you know, Athlone Town there is there for many hundreds more years. You know, one of the oldest clubs in League of Ireland. We keep going, and that's very important. And that there's football there for the kids coming up. It's also important that we link in with the local community, and kind of COVID again has stopped that a bit, but there's exciting stuff coming down the road. So it really is, Athlone is in a good place now, and it is now back to where it's improved. It's linked with the local people, the community. So it can only bode well for Athlone going forward. And you just get a sense from little fundraisers that were done, where there was good feedback from the community, from the public, and that's what we want. You know, so I suppose the facilities are there now, and now it's just to get the team on the pitch that people and you know, people will come out if you're doing well. People will come out, and I have to understand that. You know, so hopefully we can just get a couple of good results starting off, and just set it in motion from there.
Excellent. Well, it's brilliant to see a whole new kind of clean broom coming through the club and really kind of creating that really positive vibe that's been coming out of the club over the last few weeks and months. And I wish you the very, very best of luck ahead on and off the field for the club. It's great to see the club so, obviously, as you mentioned, so historic within the league to be doing so well. Thanks very much for joining us.
Guys, thanks for having me. Fair play to you.
Thanks, Adrian.